Good evening and welcome to round 16 of our 1978 USAC Championship Series. Coming to you tonight from the Pheonix International Raceway, and 3 points is all that separates David Yates from securing the USAC National Championship Series as a whole this year, so of course he will be looking for a good race and a good finish here. But as I mentioned, we are at Pheonix International Raceway. It's a 1 mile tri-oval, and given with that, our drivers will be running for 150 laps this evening, which will be no easy feat, especially with that dogleg on the back straight. Pardon, just making sure everything is connected up correctly. Sound thing on the broadcast was looking a little bit off. In terms of the 150 mile races, as we've come to know, our drivers will be allotted 2 full tanks, meaning a one-stop race for these 150 laps. And those 2 allotted full tanks of fuel will equal roughly 302 liters or 80 gallons. As we are joined in the booth, if I can find the booth to check, Alberto Ibañez. Good evening, Alberto.
Good evening everybody. Sorry for arriving a bit late. Anyway, looking forward to this exciting race.
As I'm sure will be everyone else as well, given that the championships is still not completely clenched for David Yates. As we can see, as we can also hear all the cars out on track for the warm-up session, with 2 Penskes out front at the moment, with Equino fastest and Hackman second fastest. Now Schlapinski and the Gilmore Racing Coyote flies up into second now. Let's see, here we are on track, looking at the dogleg on the back straight, and I have to say that's still probably the most dangerous part of this racetrack.
Yeah, this is the dogleg is a complicated part because you want to go there full throttle, but the car must be perfectly balanced to be able to do that. And at the same time, you need to take into account how the tires are wearing out, how the fuel is making your car lighter and everything. So it's not always that you can go full throttle through that kink. Actually, only when the conditions are ideal. But it's so tempting to try to do, because there is really a lot of time to be gained if you are able to go really quick with that. On the other corners, you need to lift, you need to keep the turbos cooling and all that. And it's a matter of when you are ready to kick it and give it full throttle. But in the case of the kink, is sometimes it's just a smidge that you have to lift, and sometimes it's a bit more. But it's always dangerous because it's hard to know exactly when the car is going to come from below you.
Definitely so. As my broadcast assistant, it's making it a little bit difficult to find cars. Here we are. I noticed Schlapinski was having quite a bit of work to do in the Coyote car, looking quite loose on him through the dogleg, but also driving the Coyote tonight is Richard Coxon, standing in for Bruno Chacon.
Richard is driving today the Coyote, the old Coyote. Whereas in the case of Cesarius, he's benefiting from being able to use Parnelli VP6 that Gilmore team acquired for these races. So in that regard, Cesarius has a little advantage today. He's in one of the hot cars. So let's see if he can make that, well, if he can turn that into a victory.
Well, it certainly looks to be somewhat on the money at 25.7 in this warm-up session. Currently 5th overall here. And I notice we also have Vadim Tachak standing in and driving one of the... as Juha Boos has a bit of a lackluster pit entry. One of the Finley Vattis Eagles, which I believe Brian Yannick took to a top 5 finish when we were here in the first round of the championship. So that's definitely a worthy car to drive around this particular piece of oval. Let's see, I noticed we also have Jason Fitch back with us racing again, driving the Interscope Racing VPJ car, I think that is, right?
Yeah, I think so, because Alan Santo could not do this race. So yeah, indeed, he's in Danny Ongay's car for this race.
Which will certainly be interesting to see. We'll see Jason White in the number 88 Machinists Union McLaren, I think that is, for this particular race. And we have Simon Wattman as well in the Grand King Agashanian car, currently having quite a substantial off by the looks of things. Currently outside the track, but that's what the car looks like.
Very much like Ari Leyendyk in Meadowlands. And he ran into the wrong direction.
Quite so, quite so. So Alberto Junior still fastest in this warm-up session. I reckon he'll be quite happy with that.
Yeah, I know he's going to make a strategy of probably more stops than the rest of people, because he felt that otherwise the tires would start giving him problems. So we'll see. It will depend on many things. There's the strategy if there is yellows, and probably there should be yellows, because this is a very dangerous start. We're seeing already a lot of crashes. So that could really change things. But we can see here 1, 2, or 3 pit stops. I mean, it's very open, and people might choose to do very different things.
Very much so, and I heard the drivers talking about the fuel possibly being a slight bit of a worry for some, maybe, as I think the limit were 2, if I understood it, 2...
Yes, 80 gallons or 306 liters, I think it is. Right.
Yeah, so roughly 2 liters a lap. And that's, I reckon, about just on the cusp of what they can do safely. Or, well, more or less full shap, as it was indeed. We also have Thiago Canola trying out oval racing once again, driving the number 69 car that we've seen Jason Whited put some pretty decent efforts into earlier in the year. And also taking the opportunity to practice some pack racing, as there are 4 cars on the same piece of road. Ooh, that's an aggressive, nicely committed pass there. Ooh, but getting it very sideways through the dog leg.
Yeah, I told you, either the car is perfectly set up to go flat out to the dogleg, and you have the ideal conditions, or you're going to have a really, really dangerous time there.
For sure, and definitely so. As the timers run down to 0, and we will be getting ready for green flag in the next few minutes.
And here we go.
Yep, and we have Alberto Jr. on pole for this one. Very neat effort there. As we're just waiting for all the drivers to join the grid before we look at the rest of the positions.
Still one car missing. What's that?
So, Alberto Quino on pole with David Yates for Pat Patrick Racing in second. Thiago Canola third in the Hoffman Auto Racing, so very, very strong qualifying for the Hoffman Racing team there. Adam Hackman lines up fourth for Penske, with Brian Yannick fifth for Warner Hodgson Racing and a beautiful sounding AMC engine. Louis Stevens lines up sixth for Sherman Armstrong, that's a nice effort there. With Cesare Slapinski 7th for Gilmore, Vadim Tachak 8th for Finley Vattis, Coxon 9th for Gilmore Racing, a good effort in the old Coyote there. Ravidor rounds out the top 10 for Chaparral Racing. Jakob Fredriksson 11th with Drexler 12th, Bouchard 13th with Bors 14th, Whitehead 15th with Wattman 16th, Michiels 17th with Fetch 18th, Emil May 19th, Roja in 20th, Saber 21st, and Francisco Amal rounding out the 22 car strong field this evening. As green flag is now out.
Green flag there. Jake's going for the outside there. Nicolas staying there on the inside protecting. Let's see how they come out of this.
Looks like he'll hold on as everyone gets through turn 1 okay.
Yeah, Jakes is not going to take any risk here in the King, which is a place where you can actually overtake, but it's obviously one of the most complicated places ever.
Right, so
seeing lap traffic, I mean, people dispensing with lap traffic with the King, for example, that's very possible. But overtaking in anger, oh, that's complicated there. So it can be done.
Definitely so, and it looks like Slapinski there putting on a move. And I think that was Rocha making a move too further down the field.
Two teammates today, Slapinski and Coxon, they were having a fight there. The Parnelli is a fast car, but it's complicated to set up properly.
So
he's still in the old reliable car. But now Hackman is there in the middle. He had a moment there and dropped many positions, and this is not good for Richard Coxon because this is not the kind of car that you want to have to overtake.
Well, it might be a case though where he might be able to use the Penske ahead to try and...
There's Canola moving on Jakes, look at that, in the kink. Has it on the inside.
Must have gotten a very good exit out of turn 2. And I noticed Lou Stevens had a very good start too, up into 4th. See, the rest of the field looks like Fredriksson is going up into 9th, with Bouchard running wide and into the barrier as well on the outside. So that's Ridol up into 10th too. Bouchard drops to 11th. With
Stephens now trying to go around the outside and Brian Janik.
I think Bouchard was trying to get to the pits, I think, but all the cars behind him stopped him from being able to do so. Let's have a look at this. Sharpinski with a great exit on Stevens, who got slowed down by trying to go around outside. And now Hackman tries to go through as well, out of the groove, and very difficult to get back. And Slapinski too making a move on Yannick, wasting no time climbing up the field.
Yeah, this is a track. I mean, this is a short track, so if you are lagging behind and you drop when a yellow flag comes and you are one lap down, that's going to hurt you. Because you immediately are out of the rhythm. You really need to try to stay in the lead lap, because otherwise your chances for victory are complicated.
Definitely so, and it looks like there's quite a scrap here. Fredriksson was able to hold on ahead of Tatjak, who ran wide himself, and Ridol was able to sneak past. Bos 12th at the moment, with White for close company. Saber starting from near the back up into 14th now, with Jason Fish in 15th. Rocha, who started near the back too, in 16th, but Keo Michiels trying to sneak up the inside in the Watson.
And meanwhile, Canola is already challenging for the lead. He's there behind Little Al.
Wow, he definitely has that Hoffman Auto Racing, what I think is an Eagle, quite well set up here.
It's a very old car. It's still quite reliable and solid. And in the short tracks like this, there's not so huge of a difference between cars. Well, probably the engine here playing a big role. But the Eagles are very good suspension-wise, and that counts a lot in the short tracks.
Trying to look up the inside and the kink. It definitely looks like Canola gets a very, very nice slingshot coming out of turn 2. Car punching very well off the corner. But there he ran a bit too close and had to check up, dropping quite a bit of time as well because of that. So
yeah, as soon as you get the foot out of the throttle, the turbo starts cooling, and it takes some time until it gets back on the power.
Right, so Yannick still holding on to 5th in the AMC powered Eagle, with Hackman right behind him in 6th. Lewis Stevens meanwhile dropping from 4th to 7th, but now has stopped the loss of positions and looking like he's in a fairly safe 7th at the moment. Ooh, dear me, Bos and Whited with a bit of contact through 4. Bos trying to make the move in the older Penske chassis, but Whited doing very well to drive around outside in the McLaren chassis over there. Very impressive.
There's lots of scrapes here. There's not a big amount of real estate in this track, which is only 1 mile, even if it has 3 corners. And now Thiago is now on the inside with Little Al not able to pull that move. Little Al had a cleaner exit.
Little Al ran a little bit deep into 4, and now he's deep again with the lapped car, and Canola wastes no time sneaking past up the inside. Very nicely done there. Let's see if Equino can answer back. And now, as we can see, traffic comes into the picture as well. And it does look like for now that Canola will be able to sneak away a little bit. Szczepinski still fourth, Yannick with Hackman for close company. It looks like it's more or less status quo. I think Tatchak has passed Cox in the last few laps. And Ridol now with Fredriksson fairly close behind. Oh, and there is Whited too, and Fredriksson with a great exit out of 4. Sneaks past Ridol and up to 10th.
And Jakes is now speeding up. He's coming also to catch up with Little Al, who probably overheated a bit his tires in all this crazy situation with Thiago. Thiago now in heavy traffic, coming now behind Amaral, Watman and Drexler, going there low with the car.
Looks like Canola definitely favors the very low line, keeping left side tires.
It's the safest also to overtake here, even if in real life they did overtake a lot on the outside.
That's
right. Jakes is already right behind Little Al.
Let's look back from the back of Equino as here comes Jakes slingshotting past up the inside in the kink, and it looks like the position will be done. It is indeed. Very nicely done, and now Szczepinski in close pursuit too.
Big traffic jam everywhere in the track. Everywhere you look, there is packs of cars and fights going on.
Very much so. Now Ball's running wide in 4. And Fitch goes past, so Fitch up into 13th. Very nice effort. Wow, and look at that. Canola really working the traffic well, up into 4.5 to 5 second lead right now.
Probably having also for consumption in check. As I can see, he's using really low revs.
Definitely looks like it indeed. And Equino now with a great run on Jakes, looking up the inside into 4. And Jakes giving a lot of room to Equino there, and holds on to 3rd at least. Ahead of
his fight is the championship, obviously, so...
Indeed. He's in a position of, as long as he finishes this race, he will be crowned and securing the championship here.
Mm-hmm.
And this track in races is definitely a track where as long as it's green, you will see the cars with the drivers with the best racecraft and who's able to read the traffic coming out on top.
Pass Little Al on the outside. Very good pass there also.
Wow.
I have the feeling that Little Al is probably overheating the tires at some point.
Well, Equino was trying to run around outside of Jakes through 1 and 2, so... That's I'd say, at least this early in the race, that's a bit optimistic. As Yannick is in 5th and still holding Adam Hackman back. Oh, and Hackman with a big slide coming off of 4. Very nearly puts it in the retaining barrier between the pits and the racetrack, but was able to hold the car off it.
Not much room for error in this track now.
No, definitely not. I think one of the very few times I've seen anyone have a spin and not hit anything was David Junt. I think probably 2 years back now. Had a spin in 4, did a 360 and was able to avoid the barriers and keep going.
Yep.
Let's see what else is going on further down the field. Touchak still in 7th, with Stevens in 8th. Richard Coxon.
No challenging David Yates.
Let's have a quick look at that. Ooh, and Yates with quite a loose moment coming out of 4.
Yeah, he was absolutely doing the whole turn sideways.
Ooh, and I wonder if Schlapinski slightly touched the wall there, coming out of 2. But there he went indeed up into 2nd and past Yates. And the driver's definitely letting the car's rear ends hang loose quite a bit around this place. I suppose it's a case of around here, loose is fast, but definitely very scary. As Touchak, as I was about to mention earlier, still in 7th, Stevens in 8th, Whited now up into 9th, ahead of Fregson in 10th, but he has Coxon for close company, who's 11th.
Whoops, Kayomiki sees a barrier. That was a bit of cruise, but thankfully he's not out of the race.
Ooh, Vidal snuck up the inside of him, and that's why. And that's quite a battle pack running there, with Fregson in 10th, then followed by Coxon Bors, who now sneaks up the inside of Coxon through 4. So Bors up into 11th. But it's Coxon, and now Fitch. Oh, no! Oi! Yeah. And that's unfortunately Keo Michiels, I think, out of this race. A big off coming off of 4. That
and
was.
The pits. He did a pit stop. He's going out again.
Putting the power on, and car just broke loose on him, and then it's all she wrote, unfortunately. Amazingly, no yellow flag though. Though there is a tire down there, that could be a bit scary. But May currently running 21st, with Bouchard 20th, Rochart 19th, Amaral 18th now, with Wattman 17th, and that's the tire indeed. Not sure exactly who hit it. Might have been Bors. Amaral 18th, Wattman in 17th, Drexler 16th, and they are fighting for position at the moment. Saber 15th. And now Equino has been into the pits already on lap 37.
Yep.
Is that the tactic of running a light?
I'm not sure, because 3 pit stops would have required him to go to lap 50, so I'm not sure. Maybe he was not comfortable with the car and wanted to make an adjustment, no idea.
Possibly, but that could put him in a very tricky spot, as he's now having to try and unlap himself, and Yannick ain't making it easy for him. That could very easily have ended with both of them in the wall. And now he gets the slingshot onto the front straight. He now should be able to go past down into turn 1. And he does. I suppose, considering what we saw from the car, maybe it's also a case of him feeling the tires were starting to go and not, as you say, feeling comfortable with how the tires were behaving, and that's the change, the change he went for, as such.
I don't know, it's a bit early still for the tires, not sure, we will ask him later.
Definitely so. As the battle pack is still going strong with Fetch, Vidal, Coxon, Bors, Fredriksson. Still all fighting now for 9th down to what I think would be 13th or 14th. Ooh, and that's Bors up into 9th, and Fredriksson checked up, and ooh, Coxon inside 2 and 3 wide on the exit. Wow! That was Simo Wattman in the Agashanian car, being put in a very, very difficult spot.
Quite scary situation here, many cars. Lots of aerodynamic effects on everybody. They are all gasping for clean air. Going for the inside.
Ooh, Coxon with a good exit out of 1. Or 2 maybe one should say. Coxon up into 9th, and now Bors not quite able to run around outside, I don't think. No, but now Fredriksson up his inside. With a few of the leading cars trying to lap them at the same time. What's happening?
Very intense racing here as they go past the lap car.
For sure. Ooh! Is he really going to make it? He made it! Wow, what a pass from Hackman! Running round outside through 4 and goes past Brian Yannick.
Really complicated to execute.
Oh no, that's another off in turn 1. Looks like that is Simon Wattman in the Grand King Agashanian car.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's Jake's turn to try and get through that 5-6 car battle pack. Oh, and he hits the outside barrier, heading towards the dogleg.
Probably suffered a bit of washout there from the car in front.
Definitely a possibility, but that wall is... I'm in the position of understanding why they put it there, but the angle of it is a little bit dangerous. As Canola at the moment still running very, very strong, a 10-second, 9.5 second maybe lead at the moment, ahead of Schlapinski. Schlapinski meantime doing his best to keep up and keep him honest. Jakes running his own race more or less, I reckon, just trying to salvage the best possible finish to secure the championship, as he now has to lap his teammate Fredriksson. Ooh, who I don't think saw him. That looked very scary indeed. Hackman up into 4th with some of the pitting drivers.
Whoops, there's a car in the sand. A spin there in the sand. That was Jason Fitch.
Ooh, that's unfortunate for Fitch. He was having a very good race up until that point, but that will stifle his... Oh! Dirty tires and a spin and hard into the outside barrier. Aye, that's very unfortunate indeed. That's very easy to do when the since he span, he probably overheated the tires too, and then he put some dirt on them as well. And
yes,
just one of those snowballing effects. Very sorry to see Jason retire there, but very good effort up until that point, and really nice to see him right in the middle of the fighting going on. That's Alberto Jr. in the meantime up into 13th. Really with all
now going into the pits, yes. 2-stop strategy clearly for him. Textbook 1/3 of the race, so
actually a tiny bit more than a third, so definitely on point.
Canola so far shows no indication of willing to stop. Whoops, Simon Watman speeding there in the front straight.
Oh, but keeps it very low. Nicely done, Simon.
But he's facing the opposite direction, and it's not as if you are going to be able to, because there's constantly traffic coming here. So
I suppose what he could try to do is reverse down the front straight.
no, he's quitting. That was the right decision, because it's impossible to try to recover it there.
Well, since he had a spin earlier, maybe he was... Oh, Alberto Jr. out too! Oh, and that looks like a big off. Aye. Oh no! I think Hackman was involved in that too.
It seems that, I don't know what happened to him, but he crashed in the straight. He hit the... He got sideways in acceleration coming out of the slipstream for Angel May.
Ouch.
And then yeah.
And Adam Hackman got involved too, and Hackman is out as well. That's so unfortunate. Oh yeah, he... With that contact, he got sideways down into turn 1 and then hard into the outside barrier 2 and removing the rear right wheel of the car, and that's unfortunately that. And that means that with that, Yates doesn't even need to finish this race. He is now secured champion of this series. So big congratulations to David Yates, who can now truly enjoy the drive for the rest of the championship.
One man's tragedy is another man's luck, so...
Quite.
But still, it's a very deserved championship, because he has been doing fantastic races from the strategy point of view, absolutely some masterclasses here. Like in the first race at Texas, it was amazing how he was able to read so well into the race. So very deserved champions here, and still can enjoy himself in the races that are remaining, because there will be now 2 road courses ahead to finish the championship with the British leg. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes.
Very much so. Meantime, the race is still going on. 12 seconds now the lead for Canola up in front for the Hoffman Auto Racing team. US Francisco Amaral tad bit slow there, so that's Canola losing a little bit of time, but that's one of those things. At least no contact was made. And I wonder if Amaral is heading for pit lane, maybe? Nope, okay. Schlapinski still second, Jake still third, Yannick fourth, Tatchak up into fifth and closing in on the AMC Eagle 2. So AMC powered versus Offenhauser powered Eagles fighting for fourth and fifth right now.
The AMC has a bit more top end. It's a specific car. It's a V8 after all, even if it was experimental, but it has more weight and obviously more inertia and all that compared with the Fox, which is a lighter car. So interesting difference here between the punch of the Eagle coming out of the corner with its bigger block, but then again also suffering probably on the corner entry and in the apex.
Mm-hmm.
Tafiak really quicker than Yannick at the apex.
But then on the straight, as we can see, Yannick able to pull a car length or so. So I reckon in clean air right now with the tyre wear as it is, the Tatchak is probably quicker, but it's a case of needing to find the opportunity to sneak past somewhere. And now both of them being put a lap down by Canola, lapping everyone up into up to fourth place right now. Although Yannick is fighting to try and stay on the lead lap. Oh, but look at that, the speed difference and how low Canola can bring that Hoffman Auto Racing car.
Yeah, Canola is certainly not willing to lose any time there.
But Yannick, a very clever driver, very experienced, he is doing everything he can to make sure he's on the lead lap for a possible yellow in the next few laps. Although now he runs a little bit too deep, and I think that's all Canola needs. It is indeed, and now Yannick needs to be worried about Tatchak going around its outside.
Yeah, that was very opportunistic from Vadim, who saw it coming. But Brian also saw it coming, so he was able to fend it off.
Mm-hmm. As mentioned, very experienced, so he probably has both made that move and been put under that move previously at some point. And Santo in the chat watching the race at the moment mentions that the BPJ gets very loose on low fuel and the drivers could be experiencing some difficulty with that right now as they are closing in on their first pit stops.
Well, that's the case then for Cesarius, who's driving one of those cars, because the other one is out of the race. But Cesarius prepares very well the races. He's already this year the Indy 500 winner. So he likely has taken that into account and is working also with the adjustable sway bars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the car definitely looked far looser on a full tank than it is looking right here and now. But even with that, Canola is still streaking away up front, now 14, nearly 15 seconds to lead, as Yakes now heads for pit lane.
Let's see what Slapinski does.
And looks... no, he's actually continuing around again.
Yeah, he's for another lap, but now he's signaling the pits. So...
Yakes now exiting.
What's the leader doing? Canola is going for another lap.
And Yakes right on the halfway point, heads for the pits. Ooh, dearie me! And that was Drexler and Whited running side by side.
Here comes Slapinski now to pit.
Ooh. That was very close. Yakes nearly got rear-ended by Whited, who was on the inside of Drexler coming off turn 1.
Daciak also 4th in the pits, so is Fredriksson.
Yep, so let's see.
And Thiago comes into the pits right now also. No, he's signaling the pits, but he goes for another lap, probably so the frenzy that is there right now in the middle of the pit lane.
Yeah, I think that was Stevens' car, looking very like the Hoffman Auto Racing car, but was Louis Stevens, I'm fairly sure, that headed for pit lane that looked like driving question. But Yakes has lost out to...
and he comes now. There's the leader now in the pits.
And looks like Yannick heads in too. And Coxon coming out to the pits as well. And look at that, Yannick, with his experience, lines up the car to be able to get a good exit in case Canola has a longer stop. And here comes Drexler, I think that is, and Yannick indeed has a quicker stop.
Whoops! Yellow flag now. Yellow flag now.
Wow!
There was a crash in the main straight, and we got a yellow. So Thiago is coming out of the pits in...
oh no! It was Fredriksson.
Ah.
Ay, 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 ay.
So this is going to help those who had not pit yet.
That looked like that was Drexler coming into the pits. Aniel May checking up and completely coming off the boost. Fredriksson trying to go around outside and not enough room. Clipped the rear end and the typical tire on tire. The car just leapt in the air.
Safety car is coming out now, and I'm not sure if Canola has been told to stop, but Slapinski, who overtook Canola, is slowing down dramatically. Both are, so they are clearly told to stay, to wait for the safety car who is coming now. And Thiago is second behind Slapinski. I mean, Slapinski, because there is the race to the yellow thing, probably was able to sneak by. There goes the safety car.
I think Canola was taking 4 tires in that stop, and I'm fairly sure Yannick, for example, only took right side tires. So I wonder if Slapinski has done the same thing of taking only right side tires, and that giving him the edge in terms of track position. But with this yellow, that could really come on and bite him towards the end of the race, as his car will probably be handling a little bit lesser to his liking than it will have been doing earlier. So So to run you through the standings as the safety car is out, Lipinski is, as we can see in the lead, Canola second, Jake still in third, Yannick fourth with Tachak fifth, Steven sixth, Whitehead seventh, Ray Riddle eighth, Bors ninth, and Coxon rounding out the top 10 with Sabre in 11th, Drexler 12th, Angel May 13th, Luciano Rocha up into 14th again, Amaral 15th, Jules Bouchard in 16th, and I believe he is our final car running, with our retirees now being Fredriksson, Hackman, Equino, Fetch, Watman and Michiels.
So this is grouping everybody well behind the safety car, and this is looking well for Cesarius right now. He's in the lead, he has a powerful car. Let's see how this goes. Jake's still in third. Yannick is fourth. Tatjak is fifth. Stephen sixth. And will we be going green next time? No, it seems not.
Well, there were quite a bit to clean up on the front straight after quite a few other drivers had problems there as well, so somewhat understandable overall that they wanted some time to sweep the track.
Yeah, this is a short track, so sometimes you need more caution laps compared with one of the big ovals, where if you're lapping around at low speed, then obviously the pace laps are taking much longer.
And we've
safety car going. It's going. We're going green.
Well, then let's ride on board Cesarius Lapinski's car as the green flag now is out and the race is back underway, and Jakes with a good restart too tries to have a slight look up the inside of Canola but not able to make it. And I noticed we had 4 cars. Oh, and there's a spinner in the back. I think that's Coxon. Ooh, I think he just about managed to avoid a barrier on the outside and everyone avoided him. Very neatly done. That was very scary. But everyone lives to fight another day.
Yeah, he touched briefly with Michael Drexler, and that was a problem. So Slapinski now opening a bit of a gap.
Yeah, probably trying to make use of as much as he
Canola
can.
Sliding up, and is now challenged by David Jakes.
Maybe Canola lost his momentum a little bit and his rhythm, so he needs a few laps to be able to gain it back.
It could very well be, yeah. He's obviously has done a setup that is more long-term, so to speak. And the car comes into its own when it's already some laps to the back.
And looks like Canola now is safe in second and can try to chase after Slapinski, but that's 2 seconds he needs to gain back. So it'll probably take a couple of more laps to make that happen. And Yannick's also on the lead lap, but 7 seconds back from Jakes. But that's still well and truly within the grasp of scoring a podium for Yannick if he can find some extra speed and work the traffic to his advantage.
Stephen Stasiak and Ray Vidal are having their own little fight. Very close together, 5th, 6th and 7th.
Definitely so. Ooh, I think Tatchak had a bit of a think about sneaking up the inside of Stevens, but thought better of it, and that was probably the right decision. But look at that, Finley Vattis eagle is very, very nice off the corners, just like it was in when we started this championship in round 1, all the way back in, I think it was late January.
And there's Canola already catching up with Lapinski. Yeah, definitely he has a setup that allows him to go off. Lapinski's driving like mad on the throttle.
Oh, and that's a blown engine. Oh, I think that might have very well have been Coxon.
It's Bouchard. It's Bouchard.
Oh, it's a Bouchard. Okay, that's unfortunate. I noticed it was that kind of color. It was either red or orange. So that's unfortunately Bouchard out, and hopefully he gets the car back into the pits within the next few seconds, so we don't get another yellow here. And there he goes. That's very unfortunate for him, but that's sometimes the luck of the draw. Samuel climbs up to 15th with Daniel May now making a pit stop. Drexler 13th with Rocha in 12th. Saber 11th with Coxon in 10th. Trying to chase back the time he lost with that restart spin. Bors in 9th. Whited 8th. Riddle up into 7th, so he has gotten past Whited. Tatchak 6th and Stevens just ahead of him still in the Sherman Armstrong car in the 5th. With, as we know, Yannick in 4th, Yates still in 3rd, Canola still in 2nd, and Slapinski still in 1st.
Oh,
and now Tatchak goes up the inside. Quite so, very close now, coming off of turn 2. It's completely different ways of driving the cars too. Canola running the car very low all the way through the corner. Slapinski a little bit more point and squirt. But it definitely looks like Canola's style, at least for the Eagle, is working way better at the moment. Oh, and there he goes up the inside. Ooh. Oh, but Slapinski hasn't given up yet. But it looks like now he has to concede as Canola gets a very good run through 1 and 2 and opens up a half-second gap already. Ooh, and Slapinski still very loose on a full tank in new tires.
Yeah, I think it's also a case, as you said, of Slapinski having taken probably only right side tires, and therefore he's now starting to suffer a lot because the left ones are worn out probably by now, and they are not giving them the extra support that the car really needs.
That's definitely a high possibility. And it'll also be interesting considering that whether Yates will be able to get past too, because I think Yates took 4 tires as well.
Slapinski's now, I see him trying to run different lines, trying to adjust for the car. The car's not moving so much because he's not forcing it now that Canola has passed him, but still any time that he tries to go on the throttle, it becomes very, very dangerous. And Jakes is obviously there seeing that, and he's eyeing that second place.
And it's a bit like seeing tire smoke or any other kind of smoke from a car. It's very much blood in the water. Time to go. Goes that car. Oh, and he hits the hard, very hard there. Wow. And that definitely shows how nervous that car is to drive. I mean, he probably didn't dare turn it anymore because then the car would have broken loose and he couldn't go I mean, going straight there meant he hit the barriers instead, so it was like, well, do you want a straight retirement or do you want a slightly more difficult car to drive? Would again really lose through the dogleg.
Yeah, he absolutely cannot put the full power there.
That's definitely not a nice car to drive at the moment. Let's actually ride on board with Yates for a moment and see what he sees as he looks ahead towards the rear wing of Slapinski's and the lap car of Aniel May up ahead. Oh, and he has an opportunity here. Slapinski pinching Slapinski behind Aniel May and sneaks up into second.
Very clever move. He read very well what Angel May was going to do. Slapinski was boxed up to the wall.
Oh, but look at that!
Yeah, he's coming back with the power of that Cosworth engine. Let's see if he makes it stick.
Wow-wee! Not quite able to make it there, but...
another chance here. He has obviously cranked up the boost and move.
Oi, 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 oi. Oh, and
Let's
the
up.
cut back. Oh, sideways though. And I think Slapinski will retake second now.
Yes, forcing the car down means obviously that we're going to lose the rear.
Well, that was a great scrap though. Really good stuff from both of them. Very impressive indeed. Let's see what else is going on. Yannick still in fourth, still 8-9 seconds behind. Vadim Tachak in fifth now, so he has gotten past Stevens, who is down behind White at 2, so Stevens dropping back a little bit early on in the second half of the race. Bose in 8th, Richard Coxon has gotten up into 9th, ahead of Ray Riddle in 10th. Luciano Rocha up into 11th, so Drexler has dropped to 12th, Saber 13th, and Amaral 14th, with Aniel May, final car running at the moment, in 15th. Ooh, and Stevens running it very high and close to the wall, coming off of 4. So it currently looks like the closest battle on track as well is the fight for second and third between Slapinski and Yates. So
yeah, he got Yates charging back. He was setting up Slapinski for the main straight, although obviously it's quite complicated for Yates because the Cosworth has more power. Slapinski covering there the inside, trying to get a clean run out. You can see how he even going through the kink without being able to go full throttle, he's distancing himself from Yates thanks to the power of the Cosworth engine.
Well, I think it's twofold, both the Cosworth engine and obviously that VPJ is very much shaped like an arrow and has, at least from what I can work out, the lowest drag, probably the lowest drag coefficient in the whole field.
Well, it's certainly one of the cars, that and the McLaren, that were designed based on Formula 1 engines. So they are slightly different than the other ones. But still very nervous car.
Well, of course, the Formula 1 car is always nervous. It's a bit like trying to ride an angry rhino. It'll go wherever it wants to go, and then you just have to try and hang on and try to make it go roughly where you want it to go. And hope it doesn't stray too far out of line. as Yakes has one hell of a tank slapper going on, coming out to 2, but able to hold on to it without striking a barrier on the outside, and can live on to fight again for second place. Ooh, and running very wide, coming off a 4-2. Definitely running hard right now, trying to get some time back. Now Coxon in the firing line for them to lap, and Ślepinski gets past, but Yakes sits boxed in behind.
What a traffic jam.
Definitely so, and that's interesting to see. You had Ślepinski's VPJ ahead of the Coyote, and the Coyote looked like a ram, more or less, like a barge, compared to what a VPJ looked like.
It's actually a design from Bob Riley, both the Coyote and the Wildcat that Jakes is using. So they are more similar and close together than they are to the Parnelli, which is a completely different thing.
Ooh, both of them slide in the car coming off a 4. Really fighting hard over this. Almost looks like there's a little bit of racing honor to be concluded here.
And all this scrape is basically allowing Thiago Canola to go to make it even easier.
Quite so.
They're on the power.
And Ślepinski likewise sliding the car right up to the wall and maybe even scraping the wall by the looks of things. Oh, and Yakes. A lot of power on, out into the clean there, and the car nearly snapped them in. And again, good, trying to get some speed off, coming off the high line in the clean air, but not quite able to make it work at the moment as Yakes. But we can clearly see Ślepinski really struggling with the tires. When Yakes now upside, side by side, contact, and into the wall on the outside was Yakes there.
Yeah, he tried it on the outside, but Ślepinski was sliding upwards. So.
But a good run coming off of the turn now for Yakes, as Ślepinski got wheel spin trying to get off the turn, and Yakes up into second once again.
And probably also some damage, I would gather.
Very likely so. And look at that, Ślepinski just not able to get on the power anymore. He's just getting wheel spins galore. Yeah, look at the speed difference. Well, that's either the tires truly giving up the ghost right now, or it's the engine starting to say, please give me some rest. But considering what's...
He's using quite high drives here with the Cosworth. Well, that's actually where the engine works best. But still, from the reliability point of view, he's really going high with that.
Well, it's probably the way he was able to get speed and consistency out of the car, and if then it breaks, it breaks. Almost a bit of Chapman logic in that regard, I suppose one could say. And that being Colin Chapman, for anyone not getting the reference. And I also notice Yannick is closing up a little bit. It was 12 seconds, now down to 9 between Ślepinski and Yannick.
Yeah, well, obviously Ślepinski has a damaged car, which is also suffering a lot from the tire wear. So Brian Janik is going to have a field day, although he has 26 laps to do it.
Well, it will be difficult, but the opportunity is definitely there. Let's see, meanwhile, Tuchuk still in 5th, Whited still in 6th, Lewis Stevens a little bit further behind, yet in 7th still, Bors in 8th, Coxon still holding on to 9th, and likewise Ridol holding on to 10th, with Rocha still 11th, Drexler still in 12th, Saber still in 13th, Amaral still in 14th, and Angel May still in 15th. And unfortunately for us, for the time being, that's the battles on track sorted.
So it seems not that there are many more laps to go to really allow much more, but Brian Janik, I think he's now 10 seconds away from Slapinski, but with that ill handling car, I would not bet my money for Slapinski here, because in any moment anything can happen.
Quite so, and it's also, as we've seen, any moment with a lapped car and you're losing 2, 3, maybe even as much as 4 seconds. And I mean, it's still not too far behind Yates either, so... Oh, and again hard into the wall on outside. Slapinski really trying to make it work to get that second place.
And he's catching up with Yates.
Maybe Yates had to... Yeah, maybe Yates had to back off to save on the engine.
Yates is going, the last turn he's doing it absolutely sideways. It's like a sprint car, going sideways to the turn completely.
Quite so, and I think the most impressive right now is looking at Tuchuk in behind there in the Finley Vatis Eagle, going like, come on guys, you can go quicker in the corners, go, 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 go. As it looks like he even more than what Yates was having is way quicker in the turns, but no real straight line speed to talk about with that very old Eagle chassis. Well, very old being, I think that's based on a 74 car.
Yeah, probably.
With some like slight additions, so maybe maybe equivalent to about a 76 car. Meanwhile, out in front, haven't seen him much for the last 50 or so laps, but Canola running away with it. Very neatly done in that Eagle Hoffman Auto Racing entry. And clearly showing that he has a very decent understanding of short oval racing.
Yeah, he's always been good with these cars. Jakes now bought himself some breathing space. Several lap cars also between Cesarius and him. Cesarius has been all the time with the pit icon on. I'm not sure, that's probably his crew saying, you got damage, we need to fix that.
Quite. And Ślepiński going, nah, I can still drive it.
Very AJ foot like. If it rolls, I'm going to hang on to it.
And I think Ronnie Peterson were somewhat similar to that as well, in the way that he could drive around problems on occasions, as could
yeah, very much the case for Ronnie, and it's a blessing, but also it's a course for the very talented drivers, because the engineers many times have said it, that the problem when you get a too good driver is that they can drive around the problem, so you end up not fixing the car and you're not evolving it so much maybe over a season or really taking care of the fundamentals, and sooner or later it bites you.
Quite so.
Still impressive that despite all the full sender damage and all that, Canola is really not, Cesarius is not that far behind David Jakes. Barely two something seconds.
Indeed, and he ain't letting Yannick get much closer either, so I think the car's behavior were mainly him trying to stay ahead of Jakes, but now that he more or less has conceded that, well, it'll be a third place, the car looks far more drivable as such.
And here's Amaral overtaking Sabre for position, both in the same car, both in McLaren's with a Cosworth. And it seems that Dave's car is really ill handling.
Yeah, I wonder if he had an off somewhere that we didn't catch on screen and is just trying to get the car home. That looked...
Ślepiński, bad misunderstanding there with Drexler. Fortunately, he was able to brake, but he lost more time to Jakes.
Quite so, and Drexler now very wide to try to let him pass this time around. And I mean, that's another aspect, especially if you're running a car that ain't overly competitive on a short track. It's the closing speed sometimes can be very large indeed.
Yeah, the gap with Yannick is quite constant, so at least for Cesarius there doesn't seem to be a risk of losing that third podium position, as we're only 7 laps away from the finish.
Right, so as Sabre hits the outside barrier, that is a very understeery car. And as you say, ill handling for sure. He's putting so much wheel into that car and it's just not wanting to turn at all.
Now lapping Brian Yannick before qualified.
Yep.
About to complete another lap.
Look like
an 6, that's going to be 147. He's 3 laps away from the end.
Yep, and that was definitely the case of Canola last time, was still in with a shot at scoring high positions, and that's why he fought to stay on the lead lap. This time, when he's more or less set to finish 4th, it was a very easy lapping for Canola, so nicely done by both of them there. And 2 laps left in this race. Let's see. Yep, white flag is out, 1 lap to go, and Canola could more or less coast from here to the finish of the race.
Stapinski 1.3 seconds behind Jakes, but traffic.
Oh no! Canola's blown up! Blows up on the back straight! Wow!
Yeah, but he can still coast to the wheel. Wait a moment, let's see.
Well, he can, but will the drivers behind?
He can.
Yeah, but I think the lead is too big, but that's cutting it so fine as he comes across the finish line and wins the race with a blown engine. I just won't believe it as they come around here.
No donuts for him.
No, indeed. Jakes, our championship winner, finishes 2nd in this race. Lapinski holds on to finish 3rd in a very scary-looking car in terms of handling. Yannick comes around to finish 4th. Vadim Tachak finishes 5th, with Jason Whited 6th, Louis Stevens 7th, Juha Bors in 8th, Richard Coxon 9th, Ray Riddle running out of top 10, Luciano Rocha 11th, Michael Drexler in 12th, Francisco Amaral in 13th, David Saber 14th, and Angel May finishing 15th. As I believe Jakes will probably give me a hard time if I don't catch him doing some donuts for securing the championship here, so let's just give him some camera time here in case he decides to do some donuts.
Okay.
Looks like he will.
Go now, but it was a pleasure to broadcast with you, and hope to see you again back for the British leg.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely looking forward to that, and I'll enjoy broadcasting with you once again. Thank you for joining me.
Okay, cheers, see you.
User disconnected from your channel.
And that was Alberto Ibañez. Thank you once again to Alberto for joining me. We will put some quick messages up on here, and hopefully we'll have some post-race interviews incoming right after this.
I like pickles, but they don't like me.
Send your stomach some Digel.
I like pizza, but it doesn't like me.
Send your stomach some Digel.
Digel's special combination of antacid and anti-gas ingredients gives you fast, gentle relief from acid indigestion, heartburn, and gas in just minutes.
I like hot dogs, but they don't like me.
Send your stomach some Digel.
Channel
You're
created.
never gonna believe the deal I made on this Toyota Corolla.
You asked for it, you got it, Toyota.
I got a great year-end deal on a tough Toyota truck.
You asked for it, you got it, Toyota.
It's the best time ever to buy a brand new 78 Toyota car or truck. You get your money's worth and more on every one. But act fast for better selection still at 78 prices.
Just ask for it, you get it, Toyota.
You must be ready for a beer.
I'm ready for a new Schlitz Light.
There's a new taste in Schlitz Light. The taste of natural ingredients brewed into a Pilsner beer. New Schlitz Light. Still less filling with a taste that's bigger than light.
We climbed it because it was there.
And we came back down because this was here.
Schlitz Light. Natural Pilsner beer.
You are about to see something incredible from Tyco. Silver Streak Curve Huggers now defy gravity as they hang on through Tyco's double loops. But that's not all. Turn out the lights. See the headlights go on. Watch the whole set glow in the dark for real night racing. And light up your youngster's face. Night Glow Double Loop Racing. From Tyco, of course.
I've been putting up fence posts all day long. Hanson finally gets here, and all he's got is light beer. Ever taste light beer?
This is Coors Light. The surprising taste of Coors Light comes from pure Rocky Mountain spring water and high country barley.
Not bad. Good. Really good.
And a way of brewing that squeezes a lot of the calories out but leaves all the taste in.
Hanson, I am surprised.
Coors Light, the surprise is how good it tastes.
For my first phone, I chose one of the first phones. I choose my friends very carefully.
If you're choosy about getting a phone that's genuinely you, be extra choosy and get one that's genuine Bell. Because when you get right down to it, this isn't the phone. This is.
For me, the choice was obvious.
Be choosy, get genuine Bell.
Adolf Coors came to America in 1868. He didn't have
User
a dime,
joined your channel.
didn't even speak the language. But he did know about brewing, so he got a job in a brewery. And after 5 years, he decided to brew his own beer and came west to do it. Well, he stopped right here
Sound
in Golden
muted.
because Colorado had the Rocky Mountain spring water he needed to brew the kind of beer he had in mind. He must have done a good job, because what he started back in 1873 has grown into America's largest single brewery. It's a showplace of modern equipment and techniques, but they're just tools for the 6,000 people who work here. People make Coors beer what it is, just as they did when Adolf Coors started. People who like what they're doing, people who care, people who take pride in their work. You couldn't brew a beer like Coors any other way. Coors, our people make it better.
This is more than a car key. It's a philosophy. You only need one key for a Honda. Simple. It works on the hatch. It works on the gas cap. And the Honda runs on low lead, no lead, or regular gas. Simple. It works on the door. And it works on the ignition, either side up. You see, at Honda, we feel that the key is simplicity.
We make it simple.
Like a mountain morning sunrise coming slowly through the trees. Like an eagle when it spreads its wings across the blue sky breeze. It's all that's big and bold and free. Come taste the great outdoors. It's a part of what you're dreaming. Make it yours. Make it yours. Make it Coors. Make it yours.
And we're back here at the Miller High Life Bobby Ball Memorial Pheonix 150. And with me in the booth, I've got our first and second placed drivers in this race tonight. And I suppose we'll start with congratulations, Thiago. Back racing here and straight into a win. That must be very happy. You must be very happy with that.
Yeah, thank you, Jonatan. Yeah, it was a very busy race, but fortunately I managed to avoid any big incident. Despite the engine, exploded in the last lap. Somehow I had enough momentum to cross the start-finish line. But the car was great on tires, and I think was the secret for the good pace.
It also looked like you had a very effective line that you were running on the very, very low. It looked like you were more or less putting half the car on what would be classified as the apron, I suppose. Was that something you decided early on to be doing, or was that just where the car wanted to run for you?
Because of the fuel consumption, the fuel targets were quite aggressive. So I think I was able to coast enough and run a very tight line to try to save some fuel and also to get some downforce in the car, a little bit more downforce in the lower line. I knew most of the drivers wouldn't run there, so maybe for traffic that would be a good line to negotiate. So I think that that paid off in the end.
Yeah, definitely looked like it, and we got the yellow, and I suppose you took 4 tires because I believe at least Lapinski took 2 and was past you. Was that something you were worried about as the restart came and you had Yakes behind you as well? That maybe there were more problems coming?
I took 4 tires. You're right, and I was wondering. Cesario's probably took 22 because he was right behind me when the yellow came, and but I had a pretty good gap, so I prefer to play safe and have a good grip in the second stint. And I knew, like I noticed in the first stint, just after the start, that the tires were going away a little bit from everybody. So I knew I just had to take my time and just wait for the tires, for Cesario's tires to overheat. Then I could overtake him.
Yeah, that's definitely worked out for you, and despite the blown engine, a win. So big congratulations, and nice to have you back.
Thank you. Nice to be back.
Great to hear. And we also got our championship winner, David Yates. Massive congratulations on securing the championship here tonight.
Thank you very much. I'm just glad with how the race went. I was very unsure before the race started how it was going to play out because tires were such a critical thing.
Well, certainly looked like it worked the way you wanted. Looked like you were sort of holding back early on, and I don't know. Did you notice that Hackman retired about 50, 60 laps in?
I did see it pop up, so that was a little bit of a. I took a breath, but it was still a lot to focus on. The car was not happy. You had to really hold it on edge to keep the balance and not burn up the front or lose the rear. So it was 2 hands on the wheel the whole time.
Yeah, that's usually the way around Pheonix, especially with that dog leg. That's a very scary part, and I'm fairly interested in hearing that fight you had with Cesarius for what seemed like half the race, more or less. Was that enjoyable for you at that point, since you knew Hackman had retired, or was it still very much a oh dear sort of situation for you?
Well, there's still some pucker moments, but it was definitely fun having a little battle. You've shed some light just in this conversation already that he was only on 2 tires. That makes sense as to why I was able to hold with him so well, whereas at the beginning of the race he seemed to have the advantage. So yeah, 4 tires at the end definitely let me stay with him to battle like that. But definitely could see the difference in the cars. Mine was handling a little better in the corners, but as soon as we hit the straights, it was a rocket ship. So it was like some of the times when I was fighting, it was like I don't even know if it's worth it because I'll get by and he'll blast me right back. But no, kept with it, and got lucky there. Got a little break and just got to put my rhythm back down and just put my head down and finish it out.
That's very nice to hear that you enjoyed that battle, and was really fun to watch too. So thank you for that, and thank you to Thiago, David, and all the other drivers for putting on a great show tonight and for partaking. It was great fun to broadcast once again. Also, thank you to complete brain fade. Alberto Ibañez for joining me in the booth tonight, and thank you all our viewers for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the show as my broadcast assistant just came into the room. So with that, I suppose we will cap off the broadcast. To be noted, tomorrow at 2000 CET server time, the entry list for the final Lucas Vidra Trophy race will open. That's using the Super Touring mod that we've knitted together. And the 1995, or is it 6? 1995 FIA Touring Car World Cup event at Paul Ricard. And based on the times I got out of the cars during practice and testing to make sure everything was working correctly, that race will be a real cracker to be a part of. So if you got the time and want to take part, that's a great way to do so on the 12th of December. But until then, well, not then, until next Sunday, December 5th, for when we will be at Silverstone for the Daily Mail in the Trophy. Have a great week, take care of yourselves, and have a great time. Good night, everyone.